G'day folks, it's DIY Guy 123 here, bringing you another do-it-yourself video. Today I'm going to talk about how to change the burnt out lights in the dash. So I want to change it. Well, I did the obvious thing. There's a bolt here and a bolt down there, and those are, I think, 12 mil bolts. And so I took those out, and then I wanted to pull on this whole cowling. This and this are the same piece, by the way. I thought that was separate than this at first, but this and this are the same piece. So I could pull on this whole cowling, but it wouldn't, like I was pulling on it, it wouldn't move. So the next thing is to pry up this cover, and then there's a 17 mil nut and a lock washer. If you take that off, take the cover and the lock washer off, and then the steering wheel, in my case, it just pulled off. If you have to, you'd use a puller to get that off, but this is only plastic, I think. So just, you know, be careful with it. You don't want to wreck your steering wheel. So get that out of there, and then this rubber little cover just pulls up and out of the way. And if you really want to get this cowling all the way off, you're going to need to loosen this lock nut and unscrew that for the throttle control. Now in my case, I've got a homemade cab here with this bar in the way, and I have this toolbox that I mounted like that. I had to take the toolbox off and the bracket off to be able to lift this up. Now so I got all that done, and I still couldn't move this cowling at all. And the trick was, when you open the hood up, probably be a good idea to put the loader up all the way. When you open the hood up, these little plastic covers right here, if you pull that out of the way, look at what it exposes right there. I think that's a 13 mil bolt, I think. And so there's one on this side and one on the other side. You don't have to undo all the bolts for this cover. I did, because I didn't realize that it was just as simple as doing that. But anyway, so you can just undo the bolt on this side and remove that. And the same thing on the other side. When you do that, that plastic cowling will just come right up and out of the way. Now, of course, this one I've got all bolted down, but there's a bolt here that you release, and then that other bolt that holds the cowling on is right in there. So when you do that, the cowling will free up from the tractor, with the exception of the wiring harness. Now the wiring harness, there's an ignition switch here, and then the lights, and then the hazard light business. Each of those things has a plug that you can take two hands, press a pin tab down, and separate the plug. And you can do that if you want to, but in order for me to get this off, I would have had to lift my cab, and I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I pulled this ahead as much as I could, maybe 2 or 3 inches ahead, and then that exposed, there are 4 10mm bolts that hold this cluster down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Took those out, and then I could take the cluster and kind of turn it like this and get access to the back. I'm not trying to tell you it was great access. I actually wished I had little tiny child hands to get in there and do what I needed to do. In one case, I had to stick my hand in from underneath, I think, to change the bulb that was by the temp gauge. But anyway, I got that done and back in place. Whenever I reassemble any electrical connector, I always put some type of electrical grease on there to just prevent corrosion. And also, it makes them so much easier to separate the next time around. Now, as far as what light bulbs came in this tractor, from the factory, they came with a 1.7 watt Stanley bulb. So 12 volt, 1.7 watt HD, whatever that is. I couldn't get those at my local store, so I went with a 161. The most common bulb that size that you see there, used in automotive use, is a 191 bulb, but that has like 4 watts consumption, and I didn't want to go more than twice the wattage of the original bulb. So the closest bulb I could get was this 161 at 2.7 watts at 14 volts. So, you know, if you back the voltage down mathematically to 12 volts, you're going to get a lower wattage. And so this is fairly close. I don't imagine, you know, the only thing you'd worry about with bumping up the wattage too high is, 1, consume more power, and I don't care about a watt here and there. Or 2, you know, overheating this and maybe melting the cluster or something, but, you know, 1 watt's not going to do that either. So I think we'll be okay, and that is the trick on changing the bulbs. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I can't think of anything. If you like my video, please subscribe, and I will see you later. Good luck with your do-it-yourself project.